Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 25 of Everyday Inspiring Women. I'm your host, Jessica Burrell, and I am so excited to have my friend, Jewel Johnson, on the episode today. Hi, Jewel.
Hey there.
Yay. Oh, I'm excited because I think that, we've been Facebook friends for over a year now. I think we just celebrated our friendiversary not too long ago. And we met through a mutual friend. And it's so interesting, I think, how people just kind of come into your life. And so I'm up in Ontario in Canada, and Jewel lives in Texas. And yeah. I guess Texas is pretty big, Jewel. So I'm
Yeah, Texas is huge.
Yes.
Everything in Texas is big.
That's awesome. And outside of I know the city, and it's escaping my mind right now.
Houston.
Yes, thank you. I knew that.
Yes.
Awesome. And so over the past year, I've really gotten to know you, and I love your spirit, and I love your perspective on things. And it's like everything you post, I'm like loving, and I'm like, yes. And I think I connected with you so quickly, and I've been really happy. Like, I've been feeling so blessed that you came into my life, and you've really inspired me over the past year. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And likewise, my sister, you have been a blessing to so many, including myself. So likewise.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
Yes.
But and it's so funny because I think Facebook sometimes gets a bad rap, and people are like, oh, it's so negative and this and that. And I look at it the opposite, and I think I've had so many beautiful people come into my life, and I get inspired by my friends on Facebook. So I guess I just choose to use Facebook for the powers of good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a community of connectiveness, if you really think about it. It's a way to stay connected to good people versus, thinking of it from a negative standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And you can learn and grow a lot from some of the things that are posted. And just have a moment of laughter sometimes with the funniest things that people may post about their pets or their kids, or, just simple things that you never know could really help someone in the moment that may be thinking of crying or thinking of giving up, and you read a post and it's like, oh my goodness, that totally changed the perspective.
Oh God, that's why I love you so much. Yes, that is so true. And I think we don't give that enough credit to that too, going like things that we post, it might hit them at just the right time. And I think that's huge. That's adding so much value. I am so excited to get to know you a little bit better. So, I just did a really quick intro how I know you, but I'd love to hear you tell that story. Like, tell me and us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, wow. You're looking at, how shall I say it? A fearless, courageous 51-year-old female who just is a product of a single parent home. My dad lost his life in Vietnam at a very young age. And so you're looking at a lady who really has embraced the beauty of life, both its ups and its downs, taken things and challenges and made them work for me. But I had a very good blueprint, and that was from my mom, because she worked very hard to raise me. And you often talk about community and tribes, and I had a very strong family structure that kind of helped my mom shape and develop me. And it's made me who I am today. And just that determination to turn whatever moment into a bit of sunshine in life, because things are not always easy. There may not always be resources available, but what I've learned is that you take what you have and you make the most of it. So I'm a person who just really, really embraces that. And I've just learned to embrace who I am as a woman and what my strengths are. And I try to share that through my work. I try to share that through relationships with my friends, my godchildren, and just, anyone that I encounter. So that's who I am, born and raised in Houston, only child, and huge family. And the way you and I met was through a bit of courageousness, shall I say. I set a goal for myself to finish the MS 150 and my first half marathon last year for my 50th birthday. So you and I have a mutual friend.
Love her.
And Alicia and I met through the Crohn's and Colitis fundraising event where we did the half marathon together. We trained, and she shared you with me, and I feel like, okay, this is my sister from another mister. Yes. She might be in Canada somewhere else or whatever, but I feel like our spirits just connected, and I'm so grateful that Alicia introduced me to you, and that's how our roads crossed, and I'm glad to be on this journey with you.
Me too. What was it like training for the half marathon, setting that goal for your 50th birthday?
It was grueling. And when you talk about a physical and mental challenge at 50, to just decide I'm going to run my first marathon. But I thought it was such a synonymous year to, shall I say, be a change agent, because it was the 50th year of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. It was my 50th year of life. And so one of the things that we learn from Crohn's patients all the time is that every day is a struggle, but you never give up. Yeah. So through that experience and just training with Alicia and our marathon team, it was like day after day, just trying to keep up with the fastest runners. I wasn't so much a really fast runner, but I was determined. And it taught me a lot about stepping out of my comfort zone and learning from people who were experienced at running a marathon or running a half marathon or a 5K, and not giving up on myself and just setting my own pace, learning to find what my strengths were, what my pace was, and not so much to finish, but just to be courageous enough to keep going. So it was tough mentally and physically to finish, but I did it.
Yes. That's awesome. And isn't like training and running any type of race, whether it's a 5K or a 10K or a half or a marathon or bigger, like it's such a good analogy for so many things that we do in our life, is it not?
Right. It truly is. It truly is. It truly is. And the MS 150, that was, I would say, the hardest of the two, because there were hills to climb in Austin. And just as you said, synonymous with life, you find yourself approaching a hill or a challenge or an obstacle, and the first thing you think is, I can't do this. I can't do it. I just want to get off this bike and I want to go home and I want to just take off all these sweaty clothes and eat some good food and call it a day. Yeah. But you can't do it. You see all these other bikers, you see people who may be physically challenged who are still forging ahead. You see people who may have lost a limb, or small children, or patients who have MS who are just pushing forward. And who are you to give up? Who are you to stop when you see someone forging ahead? And it's so true. You look at what your physical ability is, and you take it one step at a time, 1 mile at a time, one hill at a time, and you just keep ascending. And nothing is greater than crossing that finish line, and your friends and family are there, and they're cheering you on, but you cry just from the the sheer fact that you did well, for me, it was 166 miles and didn't give up. So it changes your mental perspective a lot.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I love that. And you did did you go to Napa again this year? And you ran again this year, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I was actually a late entrant. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. I did it this year.
Do you enjoy running?
I do. It, again, it pushes me out of my comfort zone. It's not as easy as, it was when I was younger, but it takes my mind off things. And if I'm really stressed, like I'm a sales professional, and so if it's been a really rough day or it's been a rough month in terms of sales goals, it's like running just kind of helps me get in that zone to just kind of forget about it and just make me feel like an overcomer. So I enjoy it from that perspective.
What do you do? I don't know. I don't actually know if I know what you do professionally.
Well, I am a jack of all trades. No, I'm joking. I am actually a executive clinical specialist for a small biotech called UCB. It's out of Brussels, Belgium, and the home office is in Atlanta here in the United States. And my responsibility is to work with major accounts and hospitals to bring a biologic to patients who have Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and other autoimmune disorders. And so daily it's an opportunity to help and serve patients who are in need. And I've spent the last 19 years of my life in clinical sales and supporting patients, which is my passion. And prior to that, it was a bit of transition. I started out of college in oil and gas.
Oh,
and I was actually, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes, yes. And my undergrad was in business, and I have my MBA. So the first 10 years of my career out of college, I worked in business analytics for one of the local gas companies. Yeah, so that's me.
That did not fuel you as much as what you're doing now, I take it.
No, it did not. I truly enjoyed it because one of the main responsibilities I had as a business analytics professional was to work with customers on the eastern border. So when the companies wanted to transport natural gas on our pipeline, I was the person that they would call to do the transactions. And any types of upgrades on the pipeline system, we would test them and work with the customers to make sure everything was working properly. So I enjoyed interfacing with the customers, and we actually rolled out Y2K, and that was an interesting experience because we're like, okay, this is where customers are like, oh my God, we're about to make this big switch. And you feel like, okay, this is where my job really became exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to bring a service or ensure that patients had natural gas and heat during the cold winter months. And so that's when I learned that being in service to people is not a bad thing. Some people see that as, that's people pleasing, or I don't want to do that every day, or I don't like people that much. I don't want to do that. But when you think about the intrinsic value, when you can change a person's life for the better, that's what gives me the drive to get up every day.
I'm so glad we're talking. I have to tell you something.
I'm honored, actually. I'm so honored. I've never been asked to interview or to share my experience this way. And, to do this through the power of technology, it's like, Oh, well, I feel very honored, and I'm so grateful,
I'm
Jessica.
Jewel, I'm so grateful you said yes. And it's because I selfishly want to get to know you better too. And I keep threatening Alicia, I'm coming to visit you guys in Houston. One day I'm coming down for a visit for sure. But
Yes, you should.
yes. Oh my God, it's gonna be can you imagine? Well, look out, I'm coming.
You
But
won't want to go home.
I won't. I agree. I have to share. I work for the natural gas company locally here.
Oh, yes, that's
Yes.
right. I remember you said something like that on one of your posts.
And we just got bought out about a year and a half ago, but our headquarters was in Houston. It used to be under Duke Energy, and then it was under Spectra Energy. So, and we just got bought out by Enbridge, which is local. But so I have been working in natural gas for 18 years. And funny about the Y2K story, I started like in June of 2000. So it had already happened, but everyone I worked with was like, oh my God, it was a big deal for our company as well.
Yeah, we kept waiting for the big aha moment,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing happened. It's like, wait a minute, I thought like something earth-shattering was supposed to happen.
And then the clock just turned and nothing actually happened at all.
Exactly.
So I find so to shift gears a little bit, and when you talk about service and, it fills your cup up, but but sometimes I feel like being in service-based industry can be challenging too, because you're giving so much of yourself a lot because you want to serve to that extent. It makes me immediately think, what about self-care? So like what sorts of things do you like to do for yourself to help fill your cup up so you can be of the greatest service for your clients?
There are two things that I try to do on a regular basis. I really believe in having shall I say, you always talk about a tribe. I have a very strong support system of mentors, as well as very dear friends of 30 years or more. And on a regular basis, at least once a month or at least once a quarter, I try to connect with them in some way to just kind of stop and kind of assess where things are, goal setting, goal accomplishment, you know, where you're going in life, and vice versa. I get in touch with them as well, just to listen to see how things are going, because my tribe is one that they're candid, they're fun, they're a group of professionals and friends that will hold me accountable. One thing we always say at my church is iron sharpens iron. And I've been fortunate enough to have people to come into my life and to have the opportunity to maintain relationships with people who challenge me, who, don't allow me to remain status quo, but yet at the same time, if I'm feeling weak or if I'm feeling vulnerable or if I need to get my mojo back, I can get in touch with them and say, okay, homegirl needs to get it together. My mind ain't right. I'm not feeling it. What's going on? And I know I can just be myself and let my hair down, and they're going to bring me back to what we call homeostasis. It's like they're going to bring me back to the center. The other part of that, of course, is my faith and my spirituality. I have to practice that every day. And that means having my gratitude journal and revisiting that list of all things that I'm grateful for. And when I start to complain or when I think things are not where I want them to be, especially in a sales environment, you have goals you have to accomplish all the time. And when sometimes it's not always, the year of success like you want, and you can get your mind wrapped around the fact and start getting kind of down on yourself because it's not. But when I reconnect to my tribe and I reconnect with my spiritual inner being, it helps me to see, okay, Jewel, this is just a moment, a wrinkle in time. It's not the whole totality of your life. Remember your purpose. Remember why you're here. Remember what you're doing every day and what is uniquely your gifts and assets. And that's what brings me back to the center. So that's what I do.
I love that so much. Oh, yes. And I think too, like, I get so excited. And we're not that one thing that happened today. We're like you said, like to your point, like we're such a product of everything else. And like we're so easy to dwell on that one bad thing or that one little thing that's not going right instead of the greater of everything that is going right.
Right. Exactly.
So when you talk about purpose, I know this wasn't one of the questions, but I'm curious, like, what does that mean for you? What does, like, how do you know you're on the right track with your purpose? Like, or you're in alignment with that?
I love that question. And again, this comes from my faith. I was baptized at a very young age. And so I learned a lot about God and how He is the source or a higher power to many. And I just learned from spiritual teachings from Jeremiah 29:11 that God has a plan for my life. He has a plan for each and every person on the planet. And if we just get in touch with that and just listen and watch the things that are happening around you, watching how things unfold in your life, if you really take a moment and step back and just see how things have happened, you start to get a glimpse of the divine. You start to get a glimpse of how is he moving in my life. And so, for example, when I was in college, I kept thinking, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? I was really confused, Jessica. It was like I was smart, but I didn't know what it was that I could do well. And through a series of experiences and work experiences, I started to find my strengths. And even through, instances where I may not have done as well, I still learned something from it. And it shaped who I was as a person, how I approach things, how I wanted to become as a professional and as a woman. And I just started maximizing and just going after projects that challenged me or not giving up on situations where I could learn. I'm a lifelong learner. And so it's like I always stop and ask God, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Or what is my true talent? And I'm grateful that I have a spirit of discernment where I have learned that, okay, when something feels natural, something feels right, and you can do it effortlessly with passion and not think twice about it, that's your gift. Or that's the place where you should be. When you feel like you are that butterfly in a cocoon that's just like coming out and everything is just hitting on all cylinders and you start to see the beauty of who you are in the experience, that's when you know that's your purpose. So, for instance, when I shared what I did for a living, I always thought, okay, I would do business analytics and IT because I felt like that's the place where I would make money. But then I took a challenge, took a step, and our company had a big layoff and merger. And that's when I merged into pharmaceutical sales, and I didn't think I could sell a thing. But then I realized it wasn't even about sales, it was about helping people. And I was a natural at it, or I am a natural at it. And it's me. It's who I am. It's whatever it is that makes you the greater person that you are, that brings out those strengths in you and help you to blossom. That's when you know you're walking in purpose with God, or in life, or in the profession that you're in.
I had goosebumps all over. Like when you were articulating so beautifully about purpose, yeah, I had just goosebumps all up and down my back. Because the question I get a lot from the women that come to Tribe, or the women that I coach on a, is how do I know like what my purpose is, or how, because I'll talk about being in alignment with your soul.
Yes.
And they're like, well, how do I know? And I'm like, and I'm always like, you know when you know, like, so I'll like record this clip and be like, listen to this. This is Jewel will tell you exactly what it's like. Yes.
It took a minute. It wasn't easy, but you have to take time out to be quiet and listen. Just give yourself personal time, even if it's just to sit in a room and just be calm and just listen, or to take a warm bath, or it always helps me when I'm listening to either classical music or jazz music, and I'm taking a moment for myself and just sitting alone and just listening. And I get a lot of clarity that way. I get a lot of clarity early in the morning. I do my best work in the morning. And also, that's my best time to hear from my spirit, is early in the morning, or sometimes at night when you can't sleep. Sometimes it's your soul stirring, trying to wake you up and bring your attention to certain things.
I'm writing that down because I love it so much. I'm very lucky that.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, everything. I'm like, I've got my preaching hands out, like, preach, sister. Like, I'm like, everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yes. And for me, like, I know when I'm not doing those things, my anxiety is up, my frustration is up, my patience is down. I feel overwhelmed when I'm not doing it.
Especially when we're too busy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like a saying. They're like, it's a meditation saying, and I'm gonna totally annihilate this, but like someone's like, I don't have time to meditate for, in the morning. I don't have 10 minutes to meditate. And then they come back and say, then you need to meditate for an hour. If you don't have 10 minutes to meditate, then you need to meditate for an hour, because that's where you're gonna get the clarity and figure these things out, so you're not busy all of the time. Yeah.
Yes, or find your sweet spot. It might be running.
Yes.
It might be dancing. It might be massage, or I don't know, but whatever is unique to you and puts you back in that happy place, that's where you find clarity.
Totally. Did you ever, this is another question I get from a lot of women, so I'm going to ask you, this is not in the pre-list of questions either, but I think too, a lot of women are like, I don't even know. Like I work with a lot of women around, 32 to about 50. And it's a lot of, I don't even know what I want. I don't even know. So my first things will like, try new things. Like,
yes,
try to figure things out. Try to figure out what you like. What do you think you like? And then like, kind of to your point earlier, let that one step lead to another, and keep checking in with yourself to see how it feels and see if it's leading you in the right direction.
Yes, I so agree, because if you shut that door on a new experience, you shut that door on your development. And the check-in with your tribe, the check-in with yourself, and sometimes we'll sit down and we'll write down, what is it that I would do for no money?
Yes.
What is it that I just love to do? Just, if I could just do anything in the world, what would it be? And I write those things down, or we write those things down and we talk about them. And when we see opportunities to maybe try it, try it. And if you don't like it, then okay, this is not for me. Like working at Victoria's Secret in retail during college, I knew immediately, no ma'am, I'm not ever doing retail ever again. That is like, I love the cute stuff, but retail is not for me. I initially thought, oh, I want to be a buyer. I love clothes. I love this. I love that. And it took me 6 months in college to realize this is not for me. So it's like, but what if I had not taken that chance? I wanted to earn money, but what if I hadn't accepted the chance to learn what I like and did not like? Now, one thing I did pick up though was my stronger feminine side. When I was working there, it was like the importance of being a lady, and the importance of personal hygiene, just from the things that my mom had taught me. And I realized, oh, I love this stuff. I just don't want to work at a place like this. But it's like you learn to love what you love about things. And then you learn to just accept the fact, I'm not good at this. I don't want to do this. This does not make my soul twitch. This is not for me. So, or as we say in sales, this is not my wheelhouse. Yeah. So I learned from those experiences, and I say to myself, well, I know I can do it, but this is what I'd rather do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do want to mention, like, when you talk about, it is so clear to me that you have such a strong feminine presence, and that in your clothing, you are immaculate, you are fierce. Every single picture, I'm like, who is this queen? Like, loving it, because you look fabulous all of the time. And I'm like,
thank you.
Yes, like every time. And I'm just like, it comes across, it is so clear. And like, I love that. And it's inspirational for me, because I kind of find like, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm okay with I'm feeling frumpy, but then the days where I like put myself together, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. And I know this, I feel this is going to be the same for you, and it's not because of how anyone else perceives me. It's because I feel good for me. Yeah.
Yes. It makes a difference. When I get up in the morning and I get ready for work, sometimes it's the dress that motivates me. And and it's not so much the dress or what kind of dress it is, but just the idea of, I feel like a lady today. I feel powerful in my pumps. I feel powerful in my pearls. I feel like I'm different. I'm unique. And there are moments in my career where I have to really think about that and think, and just embrace it, embrace the uniqueness and say, I can do this. I'm an overcomer. I'm not like everyone else. I may not have the same appearance or the same sales numbers, but I bring something different and unique to the table. What is that? Make it work for you. Make it work for you.
Yes. Oh, I again, my preach-hands up. I can't agree anymore with that. Like, I think it's so important. And yeah, and it's going, how does the translation of my outfit, how does that translate to how I feel as a person, powerful, or, and it gets really misconstrued, I find, especially for some women, where it's not about dressing for someone else. It's about dressing for how you feel, and picking those, and being brave, and picking those fun things, or those, maybe it's a different outfit that you would never pick, but you're drawn to it. And then you put it on and you're like, oh, I feel like a badass, or powerful. I think that's the word that you use. Yeah.
Even if it's a lipstick, it could be a lipstick. Mm-hmm. Whatever's unique to you. I believe in it wholeheartedly. It can change your day,
Totally.
literally.
Yes, agreed. So
Mm-hmm.
what's coming up next for you? So like I like to think of things in themes and like what's coming up in terms of what's coming up next for Jewel, I would say.
Fearless leadership, courageous conversations with young women for professional development. I really believe my future is about mentorship and leadership, and helping the next generation to come up. And I know one of the things we had talked about was some of the things that motivate you. And I was going to just mention this book. This was a book that I started reading early on by Kim Blanchard called The Servant Leader. And it's actually a management book, but it's all based upon Christian principles or godly principles, where you are taking on that servant mindset in leadership, where you're there to be an asset versus for someone to serve you. And so the whole premise of the book is about utilizing your leadership skills at work or in the community to help build the next generation, or to help others to see their best assets. And from that, when you see others grow and develop and move up, that's when you become stronger as a leader. It's not until you change that mindset that you're able to become more effective as a leader. And so I know that my calling is about mentorship and with young ladies, because I recognize the fact that young women who are raised by a single parent, it can be done. But sometimes when there is an absence of a parent, whether it's the mom or the dad, sometimes you have certain things that maybe take a little bit more time to develop, such as courage or confidence or the ability to see yourself uniquely. And if that foundation is not there, or if you don't have that tribe to surround you during your development, as you become an adult, the need for it becomes greater. You don't become your full self until you're able to embrace who you are and to know your strengths. So I am hoping that through my experiences and opportunities in community service work that I can continue to do that. So that's what's next for me. I'm currently in the leadership program at work, so that may change in the future in terms of a senior leadership role. And so I'm putting it all in God's hands and taking on every project that's presented to me. And so that's what's next for me.
I love that. Are you mentoring anybody right now?
Yes, actually 3 young ladies. One is just starting college. One is actually in college. She's a junior now. And then the other young lady is a junior in high school. So yes. And so I love seeing the way they develop as young women and their mindset and how they embrace new challenges, and, just seeing them, move and develop as butterflies in life, and just beautiful people inside and out, exposing them to new opportunities and, opportunities to learn more about what they like and don't like. Like say going to a classical Broadway show or a classical concert. Some young people think, oh, that's so boring. And then when you get there, you see their eyes open, you see them enjoying the experience. And it's like, okay, that's different. That's different.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yes. So that's what's next for me.
I love that. So you talked about that book. I've heard of that book before, so I'll have to check it out. And I think that, there's something to be said, though. It's if you can be that leader that cultivates that type of role, whether you're in a leadership role or you're not, everyone can be a leader in life, right? And even as a mentor. Right. And so I think that's, I don't read, I listen to books, so I'll have to check that out for my next books that's coming up.
Yes, for sure.
So, and before we're done, I want to talk a little bit about community, because it's so, I think there is, I don't know if I've experienced anything more powerful than a true community of women who can come together and support each other, and lift each other up. And when you were explaining your community and your tribe and how you guys interact together, if you could articulate it even just a little bit more, and that I'm curious for, how do you guys handle, like you love each other so much to tell each other the truth, and because I think that's important, and you're not just, like smoke, like blowing fluff at each other, like, oh yeah, no, you're fine, everything's good. Like, how do those dynamics work with your group of community?
Well, I can think of a situation where we needed to have an intervention. And it was having a courageous conversation and sharing with a friend some things that we thought needed to be highlighted, if you will. And one of the things we love to do is just get together for dinner or at a friend's house and, just have some time to kick back, watch a movie. We try to plan that time regularly with one another. And so with all of us being in different cities, sometimes it means we have to get together for a girls' trip or whatever the vehicle might be. But there are moments when we have gotten together and we just have a courageous conversation about, one, uplifting each other, but being candid at the same time. And because we have been so close to one another through family experiences, births, deaths, marriages, divorce, things of that nature, I think the time element and the time that you invest in each other in good days helps it to be more palatable when it's a bad time. You got to be consistent in your friendship. And so when you find that group of people who are consistent with you, and you take a moment to just kind of step back, when you start to share those candid conversations and things that may not taste so good to the palate, they can accept it a little bit better because they know it's coming from a place of love. And so we try to create an environment with each other where you have that unconditional love, that self-respect, that opportunity to just cry and be ugly if you have to, and then give them some space and say, okay, let's get back together, reconvene. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how you're feeling about it. What are your thoughts? And we don't let each other go until it's let's talk it through. Because one thing I find in my culture is that we don't always talk through difficult situations. We don't want to face them. We don't want to seek counseling. We don't want to talk through things. And so it just helps to be able to create an environment where you could just talk and be alone with each other and just say, I don't like this about you. And I know you might not like what I'm about to say, but this is how I want to help, versus just sharing with you what I think. So that's how I've always been able to gain and grow, from an environment of friends who just let my hair down and cry and do whatever it is that I have to do to just get myself back to homeostasis and just be at my center and be in my most best life.
Yeah, I love that. And there's such a degree of vulnerability with that too, to be able to share those things about yourself, the good parts and the not as good parts. And the vulnerability to hold that space for other people as well. I think that's wonderful. I couldn't agree anymore that I think that having that community or having that tribe, it's huge for us, especially for us as women, because it's something that is in our DNA. Like, we are meant to assemble in a community. It's just
Yes.
primal.
I so agree, especially when it's a group of women who are strong women who are accomplished or in some shape, form, or fashion. Sometimes that can get a little catty. Sometimes it could get a little challenging, or it could be difficult for women to be in the same room. But when you find that group of people that it doesn't matter what you do or say, they're going to accept you and make you better and force you to get outside your comfort zone, that's where you should be.
Totally. Yes. Oh, amazing.
Yes.
Oh, Jewel, thank you so much. I am humbled and honored that you agreed to chat with me today. And I'm just so grateful that our paths crossed and we got into each other's lives. I feel very blessed to know you.
Thank you. It's my honor, Jessica, and I hope that someone's life is touched by what I shared, and I'd love to continue to be a part of your tribe and to learn from others as well. And so whatever I could do to help, please let me know.
I will. Thank you so much, Jewel.
Yes.
Well, have an awesome day.
Thank you, my dear.
Thanks.
You
Okay,
too.
we'll talk soon.